Welcome back, ladies and gents, to the second game of the night here at Blue Otter Plat League. It is going to be great Glacial Rising Phoenix versus Omega Gaming Fire, who are both coming off the back of the game ones that have already happened. We get two for each team during the night, and I'm particularly hyped for this matchup. I've seen a lot of these players around. I know a lot of these teams, and these are both really talented rosters on both sides that I'm excited to see play out this specific series. I am Diatrapa. I am joined by the Bully, and Bully, what are your expectations for these series? You've seen a lot more of the entirety of Blue Otter than I have.
So, Omega Gaming, such a good team already. I believe they won their first game. Glacial Rising Phoenix lost, actually. And actually, I'm looking at these match results from the first game, and I'm seeing a ton of upsets. Teams that haven't lost, teams that only lost one game. There's about 5 or 6 upsets already, and that's the majority of the first game.
Yeah, you were telling me that some of the, VBU, people like Predictive Gaming Kronos, already falling tonight. So we could look to see even more upsets as the night continues, as people start to get into their second games. What I'm noticing right now, just because I have a little bit of insider info, is that we don't have a Thresh ban. And what I heard was that Kyrie on Thresh was absolutely disgusting tonight. And I wouldn't be surprised if Omega Gaming Fire start to look towards that again, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely a playmaker. Such a good pick. If he's solid on it, then you know what, go for it. But we do get the Senna pick first.
and we get the answer of Volibear Kled, which I think is massive. That's going to be telling us, Volibear going straight into the jungle in that case. But Kled, not a pick that we managed to see too often. I'm just going to double check client to make sure it's 100% a Kled. And that's a blind pick Kled in the top lane. Huge flex from Necro.
Yeah, that is a ballsy pick, but you know what? I guess they're just happy to get Kled. Maybe he's just really good at Kled.
I mean, that's the hope, especially when you see something that's a little bit strange picked up, like the Echo that we saw in game one, when you're like, is that a first pick? Is that or is that an answering pick up? But it managed to have so much priority. You look for that execution to be there for the player that does manage to get the priority on it. And so I'm looking for something very similar to what we saw in game one, where hopefully Necro able to find equal success here. And Lux Karma going to be picked up for Glacial Rising Phoenix as well. Equally surprising, both flexes to both the mid and support.
Yeah, they could do whatever they want with that.
Yeah, but there's wide open.
Already, you have 3 champions that could give you heals and shields. That's, I don't know. They're just gonna pick a total shield and heal comp. Let's see.
I need to see an Executioner's Calling, and thank God we get a Pike again. I'm so excited. Is this champion starting to be busted, or is this just the play style of folks in Plat League? Are we always operating on this 110%? Because Pike, to me, very explosive, along with things like Kled, enabled by Volibear. I think that Omega Gaming Fire are looking for a composition that will run at the heal and shielding.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what Glacial is going to do with this bot lane, or if they're going to actually go with the Senna Karma or Senna Lux.
Maybe we just get a Wukong and throw Karma top lane and call it a day. We get the Lux mid. Honestly, the draft completely wide open right now. Although I do expect, like you said, one of those to go into the bot lane, and we have the Galio ban from Glacial Rising Phoenix as well. They don't want sort of the dive on Omega Gaming Fire to be enabled, and I really like that from them, kind of heads up, looking at what Omega Gaming Fire want to do, their win conditions, and denying those at least through the mid lane.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what kind of jungle Glacial Rising Phoenix decides to take. Maybe like an Olaf, maybe something that could just run at the enemy team, one-shot their carries, and with all the shields and heals, he should be totally fine.
Yeah, we are going to need to see an Executioner's Calling from Omega Gaming Fire, at least one, maybe 2.
They already have Kled. That's already the passive.
It's not a thing, bro. Isn't it just the second pull of the bear trap on a rope, right?
Something like that. Yeah, but you know what? It's something.
Yeah, that's true. I like that. I like that when we did get those sorts of buffs, for people like Renekton and for Kled, that it was like, here you get this, but only in a very specific part of your kit. You're gonna have to play it perfectly to get the executioners.
Hey, at least it's something.
It is something, and actually, the other something that I'm seeing right now is that Misfortune, not a pick that we see too commonly. It was something that was really huge when Aphelios was in the meta. We saw a lot of Misfortune then, but I think that right now this itemizes pretty well into what Omega Gaming Fire want to do. They have the dive, and Misfortune can sit back and apply that executioners across everyone.
Yeah, you know what? I like that. I like that really pick. I do think I think Skiz is gonna play it, but I think Skiz is gonna pick that Aurelia, take it in the mid lane. So that might be a Karma top.
I love it. I would be so behind something like a Karma Top just because of the flex potential that it allows, and I really like the Syndra pickup here into the Aurelia as well. As much as it doesn't necessarily jive with what the rest of Omega Gaming Fire want to do, is going to be able to mitigate a lot of the threat of the Aurelia when she does start trying to dive into the backline. Scout of the Week going to be providing so much value when you're trying to get Aurelia off of your carries, off of your Misfortune, off your Syndra in this case, so that you can look to continue running it down onto Glacial Rising Phoenix.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting match. Two very solid teams. Glacial Rising Phoenix did just come off a loss, so maybe they'll try to bounce back, bring it to another 1-1 week. I think every week of theirs has been 1-1.
Yeah, currently sitting at 2-2, or at least going into today. They did manage to win their best of 3 in Omega Gaming Fire. Maybe not so much, but we do still, regardless, have both these teams sitting at the 13-point mark because of the way that the matches ended up playing out over the weekend.
Yeah, so both very strong teams, very playoff-worthy teams. So this is one game that could help them separate themselves from the rest of the pack. So yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, the fact that this time we have Sejuani versus Volibear is interesting because last game we spent a lot of time talking about how both the junglers were pretty comfortable in the early game to just sort of sit back and let things happen. This game, when Kled's running into Karma, maybe not so much. Maybe you do feel like you need a little bit more attention in the lanes from the Volibear specifically, who I feel like is going to have to worry about the side lanes. And on the other side, Glacial Rising Phoenix, Sejuani, I'm not sure exactly what she wants to prioritize.
Yeah, probably wherever this Hyrelia goes, probably want to get her head because that's going to be your main source of damage for killing a carry. He's able to jump into the back line, and that's exactly what they want to do.
Yeah, and it is going to be massively enabled by things like Karma, Lux, Senna, who are all super good at propping up somebody else, as well as in the case of Senna and Lux, occasionally being able to do quite a significant amount of damage themselves. So I'm really excited for this Aurelia because she's going to have so many people behind her cheering her on, not only with their voices, but with their actual shields and heals that, like you mentioned, could be really, really oppressive for Glacial Rising.
Yeah, with all the crazy picks in this game, it's going to be a fun one.
It really is. And I mean, we have things like the Syndra for Omega Gaming. It's going to be Catasoul into Skiz. And I've heard a lot of things from Glacial Rising Phoenix about the strength of their solo laners. They are going to be looking to perform on things like Aurelia. Maybe Karma, not so much, is a little bit more neutralizing. But the other thing that I've heard, is that consistency is something that they're looking to work on as we get into this tournament, and being able to consistently find the right team fights, find the right engages with something like Sejuani as really your only tool for doing so is going to be a little bit difficult, where on Omega Gaming Fire, we have a lot more go buttons. We have things like the Scat of the Week, like the Charge, and even like the Volibear being able to honestly just run at you, that all count as pseudo engages into the relatively squishy lineup of Glacial Rising.
Yeah, if one of the carries do get caught out, if Hyrelia gets caught out by Scout of the Week or just gets CC chained to death, it's going to be very hard for the rest of Glacial Rising to actually follow up and try to get a trade killed back.
Yeah, and I'm actually wondering where we see sort of the first objectives falling as well, because bot lane, I feel like priority should go to Misfortune Pike, but at the same time, there's so much explosive potential in the mid lane that we could see that translate into early dragons or potentially even early Rift Heralds if Karma's doing quite well into Clad.
Yeah, 100%. That Misfortune Pike lane should be very oppressive. So unless Karma or Senna and Lux do get some good binds onto Misfortune, able to chunk her out, but if the Misfortune does a lot of damage early on, it's just too hard to play against her.
She really does do a lot, and it'll depend a lot on what sort of mastery we see her taking as well, because obviously that does start to factor in. But yeah, like you're talking about, a lot of sort of strange picks that we don't necessarily see a lot, or at least going in strange places when we talk about things like the Karma top, and a lot of explosive potential from both sides. Is I'm looking for Omega Gaming Fire to really be pulling the trigger at every moment they can, whereas Glacial Rising Phoenix going to need to be very calculated, but they have the ability to make a proper incision into the game plan of Omega Gaming if it does come down to it. I'm personally, and I mean, I know you talked about it as well, ecstatic about the Pike pickup, about everything that we see in front of us, and I'm looking to get into game one as soon as we finish the spectator delay. I'll be waiting for you along with the bully on the other side on the Rift. A very warm welcome back onto the Rift, ladies and gents, as we load into our final game of tonight, Omega Gaming Fire versus Glacial Rising Phoenix. Two teams that we think could be top of their respective brackets as we load in. It looks like Omega Gaming Fire already looking for an invade here. Bully, I wonder if they're going to find something early on. Epic Fail Guy is heads up to this. And it doesn't look like they're going to be able to find anything just yet. Hook going to go a little bit short there. Is just going to be the wards placed and backing off on both sides.
Yeah, Big Fail Guy actually sniffed out something might happen bot lane, so he decided to, tiptoe out of that bush just to see what's going on, able to see all five, and, kept himself safe.
Had he not, certainly would have spelled his doom, and it means that on the other side of the map we see Glacial Rising get one of their own cheeky wards onto the red buff on the top side, and we'll know where Zongi starts pathing in this early game.
Yeah, with all five being there, it's, I'm just going to go get some vision in that deep, in that enemy jungle, so pretty much free.
It really is, and it's the risk of a level 1. Similarly, though, we actually could see Necro in a little bit of trouble as Joey Desu and Skiz have both spotted him walking into their own jungle. Catasol is moving over to support, but Necro's going quite low here. Bear Trap on a rope is going to pull Skiz back, but Conqueror is procced, and they could just look for this kill. There is no Ignite available for Skiz, but Joey Desu flashes forward. Will he be able to find the final auto? Is walking out of the turret and gets himself the first blood. Going to be answered straight immediately by Catasol, though. Manages to pick himself up a kill, and now is sitting on a huge health advantage in the mid lane.
Yeah, Joey Desu really wanted that one, but I would give that trade probably to, it's pretty much even. Just the first blood difference.
Yeah, and I mean, it is going to be important in this top side where we see Karma having picked up the Doran's Ring on top of the Corrupting, so we'll have a lot more laning prowess. But mid lane, Catasol is still going to have to be wary until he gets his first back and starts to be able to pay off that gold that he picked himself up.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot more, just pressure up here. I believe Joey Desu actually upgraded his Q first without knowing that they're going to try to do this invade or cash out Necro in this top lane. But if he did have the W, I believe that would have been a kill without using the flash.
Catasol actually getting Skiz quite low. He has to be pretty careful. The level 3 is hit, and Necro has burned his own lizard up in the top lane, Skarl having left, but fortunately for Kled, is just a little bit of sustain away as he does get Skarl back if he manages to hit the, last hit the minions, and can look for the remount here. Bot lane surprisingly uneventful given that we have a Pike here, but a hook lands onto Epic Fail Guy and could be the stun as well, forcing the flash out of the Senna so early on.
Yeah, so unfortunately for this top lane, Karma is now going to have a lot of pressure on this Kled because Kled did burn through all of his pots. Karma still has one of his corrupting potions left and is going to able to just poke this Kled out and just get a lot of priority in the top lane, unless Volibear comes top.
Yeah, Volibear's moving into the top lane. Teleport is also being channeled by Aurelia, though, so we have to be careful, but Kyrie taking a lot of damage in the bot lane as well. There's so much action everywhere. Sergeant Pickle Juice is shown up top. Zongi might go down. Going to be forced to flash away, and it's Necro. Granted, he does have Skarl, but sitting at half health under the turret. They could look for the dive here. There are 3 members, and Sergeant Pickle Juice looks like he wants it. Is going to start tanking the turret aggro. Necro not dismounted just yet. We'll get the invulnerability. Stun comes in from Skiz. He will manage to clean up the first blood, or not the first blood, but the dive under the tower there. I was like, I got way too excited and forgot that we already had some pretty int level 1s.
That's just calculated by Sergeant Pickle Juice, surviving with about like 20 HP or something like that.
It actually feels so bad.
Yeah. That could have been extremely good for Necro, just if he was able to trade that kill back, but unfortunately it did not. That is a lot of time. Syndra got alone in the mid lane, but isn't able to build that big of a CS lead. Wasn't able to shove it out very fast.
No, and I think that it'll translate much more to the experience that we didn't necessarily see Aurelia be able to pick up, as Catasol, sitting in level 5 to Skiz's level 4 should be remedied in short time. It'll mean that level 6 spike is so much scarier, especially with the double Dorans picked up.
And good thing for Skiz is he did pick up that kill in the top lane. So it's a lot of gold. He's going to be ahead of Catasol by like 70 gold. So it's even in gold line right now.
Yeah, at this point at least, until Aurelia can get a few more unlocks in her and start to maybe get some ganks under her belt. Looks like Zongi, though, looking to trade back onto Skiz here. Doesn't want him running around the mid lane. Going to force the flash out of Sergeant Picklejuice. Perhaps looking for a play of his own. Is going to be the stun onto Zongi, and he doesn't have the flash this time, but does manage to turn around and pick up Skiz. The huge chomp from the Volibear is now Sergeant Picklejuice. Could find another stun here. Xylandis has joined him. Going to force the flash into Catasol, but Kyrie is here, and he is jumping onto Xylandis. Isn't going to be able to find the hook, but forces the flash out of the jungler there, meaning that we won't necessarily see Sejuani trying anything too huge anytime soon. Necro taking an aggressive trade in the top side onto Joey Desu, has a lot of damage as this Kled will get rooted up. Bear trap on a rope, not going to be quite enough there, as now he's going quite low himself and could just be kited out. Doesn't have a lot of base movement speed here. Launches himself away from the Karma. Doesn't eat the Q there, so will be able to survive. And oh my god, please don't fight on Catasol. I need to stop talking.
Yeah, just a lot of action. It looks like Joey Desu's actually going to max his Q first. You do see a lot of top lane Karmas max the W or shield first, mostly W, just for the ridiculous sustain. You just keep alt Wing, and you will never die.
Yeah, it looks like he may be going for something a little bit more aggressive here, as you're talking about, looking for a lot of trade potential onto this Kled, who they're just going to be able to clear out the ward here. I think this might give him a remount. He's super close to it, so we'll be able to get a significant chunk more of his health back as soon as he managed to clean up a few of these minions.
Yeah, it looks like Joey Desu is out of his corrupting pot, so all this damage is going to stick. With Necro remounting right here, he might look for an aggressive play, but... Or he's just going to back get Tiamat.
Yeah, I mean, he has the level 6 as well, so that Tiamat actually going to be pretty huge because it means that he can push in waves and start looking to punish Skiz if he does walk far forward like he has been.
It looks like he does go back. I thought he was going to do like a cheesy play right there, but opted not to.
Yeah, it is something that you can look for on the Kled, but maybe not feeling himself too much. Doesn't have any information on where Sergeant Picklejuice is, other than the fact that he isn't in the immediate brush next to him, so certainly could be anywhere else, and doesn't want to throw away something that he feels like is an advantageous back, perhaps, as he doesn't have to, or couldn't, but doesn't have to burn his teleport to get back to a wave state that is just waiting for him to pick up.
If you notice, looks like Omega Gaming actually got a very deep pink ward into the right side jungle of Glacial Rising Phoenix.
Yeah, it should be cleared out soon, right? You're talking about the one right on the Raptor brush.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at that going, I wonder how long that is for this world.
Yeah.
Fortunately, won't be long. We see Sergeant Picklejuice walking in to clear that one up. But now Omega Gaming looking for this Infernal Drake. Is going to be spotted up, but I'm not sure Glacial can do much about this. They might look for a fight here, though. Sergeant Picklejuice engages. Zongi is already quite low, and Senna ultimate will only serve to draw him lower. Catasol has used the ultimate onto Skiz, who managed to get cleaned up, and a double kill for the Pyke at this point. Could look for a triple here. Over the wall, does manage to get the flash out of Epic Fail Guy, who now should be chased down, but a nice triple root from him will buy a little bit of time. Morrison going to clean that one up with a very nice bullet time over the wall, and that should be Xylandis falling as well, as Kyrie finds a hook. Double kill for the Misfortune, and it is all sadness for Glacial Rising Phoenix as they lose 4 in that play.
Yeah, it was a disaster. They looked to try to get the steal, but it was kind of messy.
We might actually see Joey Desu going quite low here. Should manage to find the root onto Necro, who's going to just charge away from him there. Oh no, they're joust away from him. Charge. We say charge.
Yeah, this game is even though Necro is 0-2 right now, he's able to gain the upper hand over Joey Desu in this top lane. But that fight was terrible for Glacial Rising Phoenix as they lost 4 members. They lost a dragon. They lost complete control of the game. Now they're down almost 3k gold.
Yeah, and I mean, the Aurelia that we kind of looked at as being the damage here is now sitting opposite 3. I'm going to put carries in quotes because Pyke not necessarily a carry, but 3 carries that are now all 2-0. And he's sitting at 1-2 himself. So he's going to have a lot of, I want to call it perfect execution to make up, even though he's not playing the Akali. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And just to look at overall, this Volibear has been all over the map, even though sometimes some of those plays were iffy, almost went down. Went down actually top lane, I believe, or mid lane. It was mid lane. he still is able to just show his presence, is creating a lot of pressure on these laners of Glacial Rising.
Yeah, and it shows in his... we think we're going to see a fight here as Epic Fail Guy doesn't have the flash. Is just going to be forced to walk straight into Morrison. Is going to be hooked back here. Ultimate from the Pyke will miss, but that should still just be a dead Senna. Catasol going to be able to pick this one up with an ultimate of his own. Xylandis not looking any better for wear here. Going to be hooked under by Kyrie. It doesn't even live that long. Misfortune manages to pick him up, has the BF sword, has the Caulfield's Warhammer, and certainly lacks for no damage with 3 carries in the bot.
Yeah, unfortunately, Epic Fail Guy kind of just danced around and, was dancing around Misfortune and Pyke in the middle of them. So,
yeah.
Trying to dodge out these skill shots, but unfortunately, Misfortune can just right-click and press Q and just do a lot of damage.
There's going to be no dodging the auto attacks, as much as it was really nice to be able to dodge out things like the Pyke stun and unfortunately not the Q. Fancy feet only get you so far against an auto-attacking champion, like you mentioned, and now 3-0-3 is Morrison on the Misfortune, and we're going to feel pretty good about Omega Gaming Fire's chances in this game.
Yeah, he's going to be able to go back. He picked up the Essence River. It's already super strong. It's going to be so tough to fight bot lane.
Importantly, still no grievous wounds picked up for anybody on Omega Gaming Fire, and something I'm looking for. But Catasol going to be looked for himself. Zongi's looking to trade back onto Skiz here, then will flash over the wall to secure that one, but it cost them their mid laner and a nice chunk of gold getting into the pockets of Skiz.
Yeah, Skiz was able to pick up that kill. That flash is unnecessary. He's going to die either way. There's no reason to blow it, except too bad he did, but Necro getting very dangerously low.
Joey Desu also has the flash as well, as ultimate going to be used just to secure the stun onto Epic Fail Guy, who ends up going down once again, sitting at 0-3. Has himself the Menamune, but unfortunately not going to be able to stack those while he's dead.
Yeah, it's getting bad. It was bad, and now it's getting worse. It's now 4-0 Misfortune doing a ton of damage. And the control over these objectives are going to fully go to them. There's no way to fight this bot lane.
Yeah, and I think that's really the key thing. You know, we talked about last game. We saw the Caitlyn being the focus, as Sneaky was just trying his best not to die on the Caitlyn. That's all he needed to do, and then there was really no answer. And it's kind of the same thing with Misfortune, except for she has so much larger of an effective range than Caitlyn, because it just requires that she finds a nice place to set up. And when you're playing somebody like Skiz, who doesn't necessarily have the ability to exit a fight, it's going to be that much easier to find those beautiful Misfortune ultimates that just find double, triple kills.
Yeah, I feel like Sergeant Picklejuice doesn't know what to do right now, because going mid lane against the Cleanse Syndra is probably his best gank area. He cannot go bot lane anymore. Top lane, he doesn't have enough damage, or they don't have enough damage on their team to actually do anything top, so... As I said that...
Necro has committed himself pretty far forward. He's going to flash over the wall to try and survive just a little bit longer. Might be able to find the execute for himself if he manages to buy enough time, and I think that's what he's looking for. He's going to just channel the back, though, as if...
He did have his TP. He could have just TP'd out.
Glacial don't know what's going on. What's happening in this game?
Man, Necro could actually just TP'd out right there, and he'd been totally fine. But instead, he went for that back, but they actually did have quite a bit of damage with that combo of... Sejuani and Karma, but wasn't picked up by Skiz in the end.
Zongi's right next to Catasol again, though. His mid proximity has been insane this game as he tries to tank up for his mid laner. Catasol going to be able to dodge out on Xylandis' ultimate. Now perhaps looking for a scout of the week. Is going to be caught, though, by the support in the backside. Doesn't have the flash to get away from this one. Instead, ultimate's going to clean him straight up. Skiz going to jump onto him, but the Pyke ultimate will get him as well. Xylandis now could be in a little bit of trouble, but it's going to be Joey Desu that's hooked back by Kyrie. Ultimate still available for him, as not going to be able to find the wall as that one isn't going to be able to find Joey Desu either, and it's looking like an insanely terrible play that Omega Gaming have found themselves in. Is maybe a little bit of overcommittal several times means that we see an even fight across the board.
Yeah, Morrison wants that flashback as he failed flash over the Raptor pit, which would have definitely gave him a couple kills. Unfortunately, he did fail that and was trapped on the other side while his team was trying to commit under tower. what looked like a terrible fight for Glacial Rising Phoenix actually turned out pretty decent for them. But that was enough dragon that went.
And it's in no small part due to that healing and shielding that you talked about. The fact that they're able to sustain for so long through that fight actually means that they get the chance to turn it around there. And I'd like to see an Executioner's Calling picked up, at least, in a sort of bridge point when you have a misfortune that is doing so incredibly well, you can't afford to just spend that 800 gold.
Yeah, so when Joey Desu TP'd into that bot lane, or it's like he found himself surrounded by 4 people.
Yeah.
And he quickly noped out of that fight, flash over the wall, but that actually had everyone else try to commit flash for him.
Yeah.
Which caused that separation, and eventually Glacial Rising Phoenix just took advantage of that, got a couple picks, and now Senna got a couple kills, and, is like, finally I could maybe start playing the game.
Yeah, they're like, this guy should be dead, as we're going to be coming back from a pause very quickly. You're not tripping. On the other side, there was a pause that was initiated just to make sure that everybody was ready. A little bit of internet connectivity issues does mean that during remote play, we've got to make sure that everybody's synced up as Catasol continues to push waves in the mid lane, and nothing has really changed about the game state after that fight. It's mostly Omega Gaming Fire, I feel like, are still in the lead. They're just in a little bit less of a lead now that Glacial Rising Phoenix are going to have the opportunity to catch up to them.
Looks like Senna only has about 35 stacks right now. I would think that you would have a little bit more. I've seen Senna's get quite a bit at this stage of the game, but RNG game, whatever. But
I mean, it's also partially that you get the guaranteed stacks off being able to skirmish, and it's really hard to skirmish into a 4-0 and 3 misfortune. So maybe giving a little bit more room there has meant that the stacks not necessarily showing up, and that's going to be pretty big when we talk about Glacial's scaling into the late stages of the game, because the fact that she can accrue all those stacks is really massive. As Xylandis face checking a brush there. And Epic Fail Guy could be next to follow him. Nice ultimate from Misfortune will get her a double kill as we see Kled fighting Skiz in the bot side. This may be a little bit more of an even fight for him, although it looks like it's certainly not going in his favor. Isn't going to be able to get anything here, and will just be taken down by the Blade Dancer, overestimating his limits in the side lane.
Yeah, don't be fooled. Skiz is actually pretty strong right now. Already has the Blade the Rune King. Has a Kindle Gem to boot with it. So
who's not strong is Sergeant Pickle Juice. Is he looks like a squishy champion there as Kyrie and Catasol just walk him down. And Zongi, like you're talking about, doing incredibly well this game in terms of just being able to start things. His mid proximity that we mentioned a little bit earlier has been absolutely massive in getting a lead for Catasol to the point where she's able to chunk out Sergeant Pickle Juice to that extent.
Yeah, I feel like he knew exactly what he had to do this game, because Skiz is going to play aggressive on Syndra. That's what's going to happen. And so he needs to make sure his laner doesn't end up just dying, just repeat dying and making this Irelia fed. Even though this Irelia is already strong, Catasol is already strong as well. So it's a perfect point for them. And Misfortune 6-0, Pike 4-1. Even though Necro is 0-4, he's still able to apply some pressure on sideways.
And even more importantly than Misfortune being 6-0, she has found herself an Executioner's Calling, which, thank God for that, especially as we approach this dragon fight, as more healing items or shielding items start to be picked up by the side of Glacial. I think this is a great preemptive purchase to try and secure themselves these crucial team fight wins when we're approaching things like a Mountain Soul.
Yeah, I mean, she's so far ahead. It's like, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
But we do see we saw Sejuani just get absolutely just 100-0. He's only sitting on his Cinder Hulk and a null Magic Mantle and some Ninja Tabbies.
Oh, here's the charge being channeled, though, by the Kled. Is going to manage to find Epic Fail Guy. Now just trying to save the life of this turret as Joey Desu walks straight through it. Senna and Lux ultimate going to be used to buy a little bit more space for Glacial. It means that they get out without dying, but they still don't manage to find an objective in trade for that dragon.
Yeah, that's sole point for them now for Omega Gaming. So just like we saw last game, it's basically one-sided until this 4th dragon.
Yeah, and I mean, this was where we saw those drakes starting to be stalled out, right? When we saw a composition start to come online, I believe that at that point it was for Crosspoint Origin, where we felt like, they started showing signs of life, and certainly we have the option to do that as Black Cleaver and Blade of the Ruin King have been picked up by Aurelia, and if they can manage to buy time, if they can manage to waste huge cooldowns like the Misfortune and Syndra Ultimate onto somebody other than Aurelia, she can start to really just clean up and lay waste to the side of Omega Gaming Fire. It's just dependent on whether they can find those angles, or rather, whether Omega let them.
So that's the problem. So last game we did see a couple people that were potential targets for to focus on, but now Omega Gaming is just focusing on that really 100% of the time. They know that they're the main source of damage. The Sen is still very, very weak. So with Aurelia down, it's pretty much a free Baron, free turret, pretty much free game.
Yeah, it's free as long as Aurelia isn't on the map, and that's really what we need to keep in mind as we move into these next team fights. Baron is an objective that has just now become something that we could start to see teams start to prioritize, and 3 minutes till next dragon, which is going to be Soul, means the way that we're playing the map now is going to be around these sort of game-ending neutral objectives.
And just like we saw last game, you see the vision control coming out of Omega Gaming. You see deep wards in both the red side jungle, the red side jungle, the top side for this Baron play. They're just going to try to play around this Baron. Any type of pick, any type of kill onto Glacial Rising will just signal a trigger of Baron call.
Yeah, and it'll basically instantly allow them to do that. Is blue buff going to be grabbed here by Zong, and I'm wondering if Skiz presses the go button here. They don't know that he's there just yet. We are going to see Xylandis be able to land a bind, but now Kyra's position is revealed. We'll be able to get himself out with the dash, and they don't manage to find themselves a pick for Glacial Rising there. Now we have mid-priority given over to Omega Gaming Fire, and they need to try again to continue to find these. They do get Zonki's ultimate out. That is an important cooldown. If they continue to make these plays, find these sort of angles in, burn these important cooldowns, there is a world where they take a fight.
There is, but it heavily depends on catching out Misfortune or Syndra by themselves. Because even a 4v5, Omega Gaming could easily win.
Yeah, because remember, this is not a regular Misfortune either. This is a 6-0-4 Misfortune with 2 items at 22 minutes, plus the Executioners again that we can really look for, and it looks like might just be Kyrie finding himself another pick instead of Glacial finding one for themselves, and Catasol going to clean that one up. As this is that vision priority that you talked about. They have complete ability to just move around and deny Glacial Rising the ability to preempt where they're going.
I felt like Catasol this whole game is just walking into kills. It's like, oh, for me? Thank you.
You shouldn't have.
Yeah, but Joey Desu, I was having a decent time in this lane, top lane, but now with a team so far behind, he's not having a fun time anymore.
No, certainly not. And I mean, we do see the Aurelia trying to force the side lane issue, which I like from Glacial, you know, because they know they can't necessarily win a team fight, putting the Aurelia in the side to get some farm onto herself, be able to be that side laner that you can't just straight up answer, does mean that she is going to be closer to becoming a win condition as opposed to, you know, just completely running it down into team fights.
Yeah, exactly. Once she gets that stance, she's going to be pretty tanky, pretty hard to kill. But, you know, Misfortune's already at that point where any type of defensive items doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, right now it's going to be really, really difficult, and Char's going to be burnt defensively by the Kled. I don't think Jadu Dust is going to be able to be in aggro range in time, which means he will get away, but now Zonky looking for a play onto Joey Desu himself. Necro's on the flank here, which means that the Glacial can't necessarily commit. Look at Catasol, he could look to find perhaps a stun over the wall. Epic Fail guy gonna find the root on him, and he could just be dead if Skiz manages to dash over. Won't commit though, as the rest of the team fight is over here. Morrison looking for the angle on the ultimate. Will be able to find the bullet time if he wants it. Senna ultimate is going to be used. Skiz is right on top of the Misfortune. Flashes in the wrong direction, though, and won't be able to find her. Now he's caught in the middle of 4 members, and a beautiful Misfortune ultimate going to be zoning out everybody else. The cleanup is going to come in from Kyrie as he finds himself a triple kill on the Pike. Zongi finally going to claim the kill onto the Aurelia, and it is going to be an ace in trade for just 3 kills. There we go. On the side of Glacial Rising Phoenix.
Yeah, Skiz tried right there. Almost nuked the Misfortune immediately, but unfortunately he had to keep chasing her down. And he did kill 2 by himself. That wasn't a terrible fight from Glacial Rising Phoenix, considering how far they were down in gold. But it looked like Skiz was like the only person actually doing a lot in that team fight.
Yeah, and at least on the side of, Glacial Rising Phoenix, there really wasn't a lot else that they could do, not a lot of other things to throw at them, but the fact that they keep Skiz in the fight for so long means that he actually, like you said, picks himself up those 2 kills and gets himself closer to that death stance, which is going to be so critical in him continuing to survive these fights.
Yeah, we sent a pickup. Still not finished with Muro mana. It looks like it's about 36 mana away from being completed 25 minutes into the game. So slowly scaling, but scaling nonetheless.
Yeah, but I mean, speaking of scaling, importantly, that fight, as much as it went relatively evenly, it wasn't that bad for Glacial. There's still a world where, I'm fine with that. But they managed to give over, additionally, the Mountain Dragon. The soul there is going to be the determining factor of that fight. Now 5 minutes till Elder with Baron on the board, and just an Ocean Soul that enables this Baron take so nicely does mean that Glacial very much on the back foot.
Yeah, they are going to start up this Baron. They're going to burn this extremely fast with a Fed Misfortune and Syndra, so...
Necro gets over Skarl here, so he won't have the ability to charge into the next fight. Looks like Baron is going to be secured, though, and now Glacial's looking for the follow-up by Joey Desu, tanking a lot of aggro early on, as Sergeant Pickle Juice looking for Necro. Skarl is going to be activated. Skiz has no way out. Double kill comes in for the Syndra here, and they're just chasing down the rest of Glacial. Charge is going to be channeled by Necro. Can he find Sergeant Pickle Juice? Kyrie trying to decide where he's going himself. Should be able to find a hook here. Walks right over the wall. Gets the hook on Xylandis, and that should be him going down. Ketasol finds himself a triple kill, and Sergeant Picklejuice going to be run down in the river. Sen is the only one left alive, but the base is not long for this world at this rate.
Yeah, that was just a messy fight coming out of Glacial Rising Phoenix. They did not know if they would contest that Baron immediately, but they ended up contesting it late, and Skiz went deep in to try to assassinate the Misfortune, but unfortunately everyone was just pounced on top of him the minute he went in.
Yeah, this won't be the end of the game, importantly, because respawn timers are still really, really short. Omega Gaming Fire, as much as it feels like they've hit some really nice item breakpoints, aren't actually in a place where they can end the game off something like that. Fortunately, though, we'll be able to find themselves a lot of objectives here, and Necro going to be stunned up under the tower. Not so afraid, though, as he has Kyrie and Songi to back him up.
Yeah, Necro, he's doing what he needs to do. After a poor early game, he's just letting his team carry. He's getting his sideways pushed in, creating that engage that his team needs and that front line that his team needs. So good on him. He did pick up the Mortal Reminder, so second item.
Yeah, that's gonna be really important as well. I mean, granted, a little bit redundant with something like Morrison, but it looks like Kled looking to be more bursty than necessarily tanky, and Kled's naturally scaling tank stats will help allow him to itemize a little bit more greedily in this case.
I think he was just tired of Joey Desu's karma.
I think that's entirely possible. Just wanting to get it over with. And now, I mean, we'll see if Joey Desu even ends up in his side lane against him again, because it does feel like that would be putting themselves a little bit of a disadvantage to leave the karma all the way off to the side.
If you look at this team comp, it's actually pretty difficult for them to actually clear super minions unless you're Skiz or Sergeant Pickle Juice.
Yeah, this is something we talked about earlier, right? Where, Skiz is really the one that has the ability to do any really relevant damage, and that doesn't just mean onto champions. In this case, it means also onto super minions. Sergeant Pickle Juice just has no health to speak of as Zongi charges straight forward on him, enabled further by Necro's actual charge. Now Joey Desu going to be caught by Bear Trap on a rope. Zongi manages to get the stun onto him, but they can't quite kill the Karma at this point. Still is relatively tanky. Skiz is the relevant damage that we want to keep our eye on here. Bottom lane inhibitor tower is broken, but the flash forward will secure the stun onto Joey Desu, and now the fight has started. Skiz looking for an angle in, decides that he needs to jump onto Zongi, but the bullet time for Misfortune doing so much work. Skiz still hasn't gone down, but a double kill for the Pike. Epic fail guy so incredibly low, should just go down to Morrison here. It's going to be the ace that ends up being picked up by Omega Gaming Fire, as it is another huge game for them here in Plat Week 4. They find themselves a clean 2-0 for this week, and how amazing it looked.
Yeah, even though they lost 0-2 last week against their division opponent, they bounced back this week, get some clean wins, and they looked very, very good this game. Unfortunately for Glacial Rising Phoenix, they did go 0-2 this week, and unfortunately they'll drop in the standings. It felt like a big struggle for them this game. They couldn't use their comp appropriately. They fell down too much in the early game, and they couldn't bounce back from it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help but feel, obviously, that if Skiz had gotten any sort of lead, that this game, the story of it is different. The flow of it is totally different, because we saw that he was really well enabled, but the fact that the Aurelia just really had no necessary damage to actually start to take over the team fight, and instead had to find creative angles in, meant that we saw Omega Gaming Fire be able to almost ignore her completely.
There's a big difference in the jungle this game. It looked like Zongi just had so much priority in the jungle, just creating plays one after another, even though, like I said previously, that he did get himself in some sketchy situations. It always he didn't like I'm gonna start playing passively. He still put up the aggression. He's still trying to make plays for his team, and eventually it did pay off multiple times. Yeah,
and I mean the mid jungle synergy is something we talked about when we were looking at Skiz and Sergeant Pickle Juice loading into this game, right? Because we were like, Aurelia is going to need to be unlocked. We're going to need to see Sejuani popping in, but instead it was Zongi who was constantly showing up in the mid lane, punishing Skiz when he was even aggressing onto Catasol, because he was always, it felt like, on a Scuttle Crab, on Raptors, on something that would allow him to instantly collapse into a fight. We saw very early on he had almost 100% kill participation. Catasol had 100% kill participation for the longest time until the bot lane started to pick up on their own, and it was really those mid-jungle roams that enabled that advantage to be spread across the map.
Yeah, I kind of wish that Sergeant Pickle Juice just kept on going mid. After he knew Cleanser's down, Flasher's down, that's a immobile mid laner that can't get away from your stuns, and you have an Irelia that could stack your E passive to get that stun even faster. Kind of wish he just kept on putting more pressure on it, having Skiz freeze the wave to a place that he could keep abusing this Syndra, but unfortunately Zongi just was there every time, just the counter gank, making sure that Catasol just didn't die to a solo kill.
Yeah, and we really saw that pay off. I liked what Glacial drafted themselves. I liked how they ended up trying to play, but it just ended up being that Omega Gaming Fire showed up on the day to take this one away from them. They grabbed themselves the 2-0 this week, and we'll be heading into next week, which is again best of ones for week 5 of Blue Water Plat. Bully, do you have any last words for us?